Hello, everyone. I am super excited to be here. I loved hearing Kat's presentation. I couldn't agree more with a lot of things that she said, and I'm super excited to be on a panel with her afterwards. So yeah, today, as mentioned, my name is Behrens Wu. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Shippo. We power shipping for e-commerce. And what that exactly means, I'll explain in a moment. Today, my talk is going to be about e-commerce trends, and more specifically, how to remain competitive in an age where Amazon is really quite dominant and setting customer expectations. Before I start talking about e-commerce trends, I want to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got here. Because starting a shipping business was not really something that I wanted to do growing up. It kind of happened to be by accident. So I am originally German. I came to San Francisco as a summer intern originally, and I worked for a company called LendUp. At LendUp, I was able to work closely with the CEO. I think that's what I love the most about working for startups or being a part of startups. The CEO gave me an incredible piece of advice. He said something that I will remember forever. And he said, if you find a problem to work on that's helping people solve something really painful, something that's a painkiller, not a vitamin. And then in this analogy, a vitamin is something that's nice to have, while a painkiller is something that's really taking care of something that people struggle with every single day. He said if you find something like that, you should focus on solving that problem. And what I started out doing first, while I was still at LendUp, was to work on an e-commerce store. So I started an e-commerce business originally together with my now co-founder, Simon. Simon and I met in college. And that e-commerce store was more meant to be like a weekend project, a side business. We didn't really know how to run a business, so we wanted to build something. We wanted to see how running a business works. We also wanted to get some secondary income. San Francisco is a really expensive city, so we just wanted to play around. And building that online store, we realized that there were a bunch of existing technologies available to us. We were able to piece together all sorts of existing technologies like Shopify. We used a Shopify storefront, and we're able to connect that to Stripe to accept payments. And when it came to shipping, we realized shipping was really clunky. It was a clunky experience. It was nothing compared to the Shopify user experience or the Stripe user experience. Either we had to walk physically to a USPS or a FedEx location, or we had to figure out how to use outdated technologies provided by the shipping providers. And we were wondering, why is it so hard to connect to FedEx, to connect to UPS, when it's really easy to do everything else e-commerce related? And when we realized that every single e-commerce store probably has the same problem and is probably facing the same pain point, I remembered what the CEO I worked for told me, and we decided to stop working on our e-commerce business, stop working for other companies, and focus on starting a shipping software business full-time. And I can only echo what was said previously. I think the most important part is really about getting started. You have to make that decision at some point to really take that leap, get started. There's never a perfect time for this. There's never a perfect idea. You just have to leap forward and make that happen. And by now, my team is roughly 75 people. We're all based in San Francisco. And we've shipped, I think this is a little outdated. We've shipped more than 100 million packages in the last 4 to 5 years. We have roughly 35,000 customers that are using us every day to ship their packages out. And yeah, today I'm here to share a few of our key learnings helping our customers ship. Our customers are SMBs. They're all e-commerce businesses. We have a few larger direct-to-consumer brands working with us as well. We have established retailers. So we're able to see the whole variety of how people ship and take away some trends. I'll try to keep it relevant for the business, not going into too many shipping-specific trends, but I'm happy to talk shipping afterwards as well. So the most important, or I guess the most obvious trend that's why everyone is here in the room, is that e-commerce is still the fastest growing trillion-dollar industry. And it's the fastest growing trillion-dollar industry because more people than ever sell online and more people than ever buy online. And when we look at people buying online, I think we can all tell that purchasing behaviors have changed. Like, we can sit on the couch at home, we pull out a mobile phone. With our mobile phone, we can buy anything we want from anywhere we want. We can buy something that's based in Barcelona. We can buy something from an online store that's based around the world. We don't really care. And we expect the package to arrive at the doorstep within a reasonable amount of time. At the same time, I would say, like, it is quite interesting what people these days decide to buy online. Like, I wouldn't have imagined that people are too lazy to go to the grocery store to buy toilet paper, but people still order that on Amazon. And I also wouldn't have imagined that people would be comfortable buying something as expensive and high involvement as a mattress online. But still, there are a lot of very successful direct-to-consumer startup mattresses that are doing exactly that, selling mattresses directly to the consumers. If we look at the internet, it's not just about it's not just that people buy things online, buy things differently, it's also that people are able to sell things in a very different way. And what I mean by that is that e-commerce stores it's easier than ever these days to get started. It's easier than ever to start an e-commerce business, to build an online store, to build your online presence. At the same time, you also don't need an offline location. It's totally fine to be an online-only business. So the upfront costs are also significantly lower than in the past. And when I say it's easier than ever, in addition to all these wonderful Facebook or online communities that the previous speaker mentioned, I think it's also really cool that all of the infrastructure components are readily available to you. You've got all of the building blocks available, you can piece them together. And by building blocks, I mean that you've got e-commerce platforms such as Shopify, BigCommerce, Magento. You can use those. You can use domain registers. You have marketplaces that you can use to list your products. There are website platforms. There are all of these platforms that are readily available that you can piece together. And then I'll leave a moment for you guys to take pictures. I'm sure you can see the slides or get the slides later on as well. And then more in the back end, I guess, there are payment gateways that are available, plug and play, that you can just use, such as Stripe and PayPal. There are shipping companies, drop shipping companies that offer software interfaces, accounting software. So really, everything that you would need to start a business and to build an online presence is readily available and at your fingertips. And you don't need to be a developer or an expert to be able to use them. Any first-time e-commerce merchant can start using them and hit the ground running very fast. So when we talk about running an online business, I think the other very fascinating thing is that everything about running an online business happens online, obviously, until you need to ship the package out. So when the consumer clicks buy, something complicated needs to happen in the background, and you need to figure out how to ship out the item that the consumer bought, how to ship that to the consumer from your warehouse, from your workshop. And for every single e-commerce store, shipping is a necessity. It's a must-have. And that's because people are no longer walking into your store to pick up the item. They expect it to get to them. And they expect that to happen within a reasonable amount of time. That's probably anything between 2 days and a week. And at the same time, shipping is quite messy. It's intransparent. It's difficult for people to figure out. It's also not something that people love figuring out by themselves. It's not super exciting. And I think the other thing to call out is that customer expectations around shipping have become significantly higher, which means that shipping now is one of the most important or the highest cost factors in e-commerce. Shipping really eats into e-commerce margins if you don't figure it out correctly. Here are a few big numbers. So the cost of delivery in the United States in 2017 for businesses has gone up to 99 billion, and the cost of logistics in 2017 was roughly 1.5 trillion. These are two huge numbers. They're growing. From 2016 to 17, they grew at a rate of more than 6%. And the reason why these numbers are growing, as mentioned, is really because of customer expectations. Customer expectations around shipping are higher than ever today. People expect free shipping, they expect fast shipping, and that's mostly because of Amazon and Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime has reset those kinds of expectations, and customers care about them. When I say they care about them, I mean that customers are looking for these kinds of shipping options at checkout. So shipping is no longer something that happens in the background that's invisible to the customers. Customers are looking for the right shipping options at checkout, and that in terms of transit times, in terms of costs, in terms of the return options. And when customers don't see the right shipping options at checkout, they might choose to buy somewhere else. So shipping these days is something that affects conversion rates and that affects consumer behaviors. Getting it right can mean that you get more customers, more businesses. Getting it wrong can mean that customers decide to close the window and buy somewhere else. And it's really unfortunate because shipping is something that should be happening, that should be more invisible. It should not be as dominant. So Amazon, with Amazon Prime, has got it really right. And what that means is that their market share in their market size in the US is now bigger than most of the other brick-and-mortar retailer put together. They're roughly 49% of US e-commerce. And when I look at that chart, I think the first question, first of all, it's incredible. It's really impressive what Amazon has been pulling off. But at the same time, I'm also reading a lot of these analysts and reporters, journalists writing headlines such as Amazon is killing retail or Amazon is killing e-commerce. There is no room for other e-commerce anymore. And I think that is hugely exaggerated. It's very, you need to look at it from a much more nuanced perspective. And what I mean by that is that Amazon may be dominant in big box retail, but Amazon is not the destination that people go to find special or unique products. So people go on Amazon, and roughly 70% of searches on Amazon are generic word searches. So people type in something like black pen. They don't type in a specific brand. They're not looking for anything special. They're treating Amazon more like a search engine to find generic products that are convenient, that are convenient to buy, easy to buy, that are low involvement, and that they can get in an easy and fast and cheap, convenient way. What that means is that there is a lot of opportunity, or we've seen a lot of opportunity on the direct-to-consumer side to build a much more authentic and special relationship with your consumer, with your customers as a brand. So I think as an e-commerce store, what we've seen is really the trend is that consumers are looking for unique products. They're looking to express themselves by buying certain products, by showcasing certain products. They want their lifestyle to be mirrored by the products that they buy. And they're looking for direct-to-consumer brands that speak their language, that are offering something unique and different, and that are, I think, more than ever authentic. The authentic part is really something that consumers these days are looking for. And in my opinion, that's where the most successful direct-to-consumer brands set themselves apart compared to Amazon. And when we look at this from another chart perspective, I love this chart because it shows that direct-to-consumer brands are unbundling the large CPG companies. So direct-to-consumer brands are tackling just one specific product, and they're going after it. They're building a brand around that product. An example would be Harry's or Dollar Shave Club that only sell razors, and they sell razors in a subscription model. That means that they send razors directly from their warehouses to the end customer. They do that on a subscription model. By bypassing physical locations, they're able to sell them for cheaper, for higher quality, and direct-to-consumer brands are all about bypassing the middlemen. So they don't need shelf shelf space in a CVS anymore or Walgreens anymore. They're able to ship it directly to the end customer. And then those direct-to-consumer brands, they look at shipping as part of their customer experience. So they look at shipping as a way to make sure that customers are truly satisfied end-to-end. Your job does not stop when the customer clicks buy. That's when the customer is like waiting for the package, when the customer is really excited about getting the package. So I think that's the perfect time to like really take care of the customer and make sure that customer expectations are being met, that the return experience is the right one as well, so that shipping reflects your brand values, your identity. One thing that continuously surprises me is that people love unboxing videos. Unboxing videos are consistently in the top 10 most viewed YouTube watch lists. And people just film themselves opening up a box, like getting very excited about the products. The boxes are super cool, really like well branded. And I think that's the other part where I can see that direct-to-consumer brands are walking the extra mile. They make sure that the box is like a beautiful experience. Some of our smaller customers who don't have the resources to really spend money on the packaging, they write a handwritten note and put it in there. And I think that's a perfect way to get started, to form an emotional connection with the customer, to show your customer that they're not buying from an anonymous company like Amazon, but they're buying from a real human. And I think the other human part that we see is that direct-to-consumer brands, or smaller e-commerce businesses, they do super well on social media. People love following small businesses. No one would follow something like Amazon or Walmart, but people love following direct-to-consumer brands. And they look at these direct-to-consumer brands' pictures in their social media feed directly next to their friends' pictures, next to their families' pictures. It's a very intimate experience. A few stats here. There are roughly 25 million businesses on Instagram today, and roughly 80% of Instagram users follow a business. So that means that it's a pretty common thing that people do. And they're looking to follow businesses that convey a lifestyle, that make them feel like they're part of a special group of people. So to sum all of this up, I would say the trends that I'm looking at is that how you guys can stand out is really to have a deep emotional connection with the end customer. Go the extra mile, make sure that the end customer knows that they're buying from a real human, that you tell the story around the products that you're selling, that you make sure that the customers know they can reach you when they want to, that they're dealing with a small business, not a big enterprise company. And when I look at what the future of retail looks like, I think it's really about that human aspect. We're seeing more automation, we're seeing more machine learning and AI employed in these commerce enablement tools, and that's wonderful, because I think that allows e-commerce merchants to be able to focus on what they're best at. And e-commerce merchants, humans, are really best at creative aspects. And I think by allowing people to be creative and taking care of everything that happens in the background, we can see each other as more humans in the age of internet. Thank you.